Hello, guys. How are you doing? I'm so sorry for the delay. My name is Trishla Punjabi, and I just took the GMAT a little while ago and I scored a V90. Welcome, all of you, to our CR Masterclass. We are going to have a 3 hour jam packed session. We are going to have, you're going to learn the A to Z of CR no matter where you're starting from, be it a 10 percentile, 30 percentile, 60 percentile. At the end of the session, you will go home with a 5 step process that you can apply on the different CR question types, and you can also score a V90. All right. Great. So, welcome to your critical reasoning masterclass, where we'll be specifically looking at weaken, strengthen, and assumption questions. This is my score 715. I got a V90. I was so surprised when I got it. I did not expect that. Don't look at my con score. Please don't. All right. So, in today's session, first we'll look at the foundations. We will drill down conclusion. Then we will work on weaken, finding the cracks in the argument, then strengthen, supporting them. We'll take a short little break and then we will end with assumptions. I'm doing assumptions in the end because you need the weaken and strengthen. Weaken and strengthen kind of lead up to assumptions. And if your weaken and strengthen is strong, your assumptions is going to be strong. All right, so you'll walk away with a 5 step CR process, an ability to spot flaws, and a clear practice path forward. Okay, so let's start with finding the conclusion. So, what is a conclusion? Can somebody tell me? What do you mean by conclusion? If you want to answer, you can definitely answer within the session. What is conclusion? I'll give you 10 seconds and then I'll start explaining. Okay. So, if we look at what the author, what an argument is, it consists of two things. One is going to be evidences, facts, data, observations, and conclusion is what the author claims out of those evidences. So if you have to, if you're confused that, okay, what exactly is the conclusion in the argument, you always have to look at this one thing. Evidence supports the conclusion, but the conclusion is not going to support anything. Right. So if you want to figure out, okay, is this something which is a conclusion in the argument, you have to ask why after each statement. If you can answer it from the passage, it is a conclusion. If you cannot, it is evidence. And again, I'm talking about simple passages here. You will have complex passages in boldface, etc., where you will be having more than one conclusion. But I'm talking about a very simple passage here, very beginner level passage here. Simple thing. If you can answer a why of a statement in a passage, it's a conclusion. If not, it is evidence. Let's take an example. If I'm saying that it will rain today, therefore I should carry an umbrella, what question is the argument helping me answer? Why should you carry an umbrella? Yes. Why should you carry an umbrella? Because it will rain. And because it will rain is the evidence for the conclusion. Is the example, is the argument helping us figure out why it will rain? We can't answer that from the passage, right? Maybe like there is some difference in air pressure or like whatever, who cares? But that's not what the passage is about. So this is not the main conclusion of the passage. And the reason why I'm stressing on this and the reason why I'm even looking at this is because conclusion is the most important thing that you really need to nail before you even start with a weakened, strengthen, or assumption. Conclusion is your target. In weakened questions, you're going to attack the conclusion. In strengthen, you're going to support the conclusion. And assumption is essentially you're supposed to break the conclusion. You're supposed to break what the conclusion depends on. If you have the wrong conclusion, you are almost always going to have the wrong answer. And one more reason why I'm saying this is because we recently ran a diagnostic and we had around hundreds of people using it. And the most common reason that people get questions wrong is because they're wrong in conclusion identification. So I hope this was clear to you. And now we'll start with the questions. But I want to ask you guys. Yes, it'll be available. Yeah. Do you guys have any questions with regards to conclusion? If you have a question, let me know. Otherwise, we can get started. Okay. All right. So let me start with this. Sorry. If I'm saying this, that sales of electric cars have increased for 40% this year, Clearly, the government's tax incentive program has been successful. What is my conclusion here? A, B, C. Tell me, guys. I told you, I want this session to be extremely interactive. I want you guys to participate. What is the conclusion here? A, B, or C? Can I zoom in? Um, yeah. Is this good? Does this work? C. Okay, fantastic. This is stupid easy. I know. It's really easy, but I'm just like giving you guys something easy to get started with. Later on, you're going to get 705 plus level questions, and then you're going to miss how easy this was, okay? All right. So the answer here is C. Clearly is a conclusion indicator. It is something that points directly to the conclusion. And when you are starting out, you really need to know these words. Therefore, clearly, thus, hence, consequently. These essentially show the conclusion. So here we are given a fact that sales of electric cars have increased 40%. And based on the fact, we are drawing the conclusion that the tax incentive program has been successful. Okay, now do this question. A or C? Tell me. The proposed, are you guys able to see this clearly? Okay. The proposed highway will increase traffic accidents. Studies show that wider highways encourage faster driving, and new highway will be 30% wider than the current road. What is the conclusion, guys? Tell me quickly. I've only gotten one answer so far. I want more. Tell me. Great, fantastic. Okay, so most of you got it correct. It is C. And I would love to explain why it is C. All right. So, what is happening in this question? Here, there is no indicator word in the passage. There is no clearly, there is no thus, but still it is a conclusion. Why? Because everything is pointing towards that. Studies are showing a particular thing, and because of that, the author is drawing an inference that the traffic accidents are going to increase. And I also put this example because I want you guys to know and to not assume that conclusion is equal to the last sentence. Now, this is a difficult one. I want you guys to really think about it. Tell me, what is the mayor's conclusion here? Hmm. Yeah, tell me, what is the mayor's conclusion here? Have you guys read the question? Three. Uh huh. Any more? Um, any more comments? What do you think it is? Okay, thank God. Three, two. Mm-hmm. Okay. Two. Mm-hmm. I've gotten two twos so far and three, couple of threes so far. Okay. So, 5 more seconds and then I'll give the answer. Five, four, three, two, one. So, the answer to this particular question is three. That if we don't build a large ramp, which is these exact specifications that like 2 blocks from downtown, then this thing is not going to happen. Then economic growth is not going to happen. And the reason that I showed you this is that one of the biggest reasons people make a mistake in conclusion identification is that they generalize it. People read this entire thing. Yes, I'm so glad you brought this up, Smriti. Let me explain this. People read this entire thing and they think that, okay, what is the gist of what this mayor is saying? They are saying that, okay, parking is something that is important for downtown business growth. Great. That is the gist of it. But that is not what the mayor is saying. Have to be extremely, extremely exact. What are they saying? What is the mayor saying? That if we are to spur economic growth, you must build a large parking ramp no more than 2 blocks from downtown. That is his exact conclusion. And only if we know the exact conclusion, we will be able to break that. I'm going to show you at the end of this session, I'm going to show you this very example, and we are going to see how identifying the conclusion would help us in solving this question. Great. I hope your doubt is cleared, Smriti. The extreme part is not our view. The extreme part is what the mirror actually said. And in conclusion, we are not supposed to add anything extra. We are not supposed to add our own meaning. We are not supposed to simplify what he said. We are just supposed to look at what is exactly being said and comprehend it. That is conclusion identification, right? So three is capturing exactly. In fact, actually wrong. Two is we are adding more information. What is two saying? Parking is the most important thing. Look at this entire thing. Have we said that parking is the most important thing? If I'm saying that, okay, you know what? We need to have flour, sorry, we need to have oat flour in order to make a chocolate cake, right? Yeah. So if am I saying that oat flour is the most important thing? Probably it's not. Probably chocolate powder is more important. Just saying that something is the most important thing is not saying that something exact is required. Fantastic. Great, guys. All right. So, if we are applying the why test here, so conclusion helps us identify that why must we build a large ramp? Because there are few parking spaces struggling, and precision is very important. So, going forward, when we are going to be solving the questions, I want you guys to be incredibly, incredibly precise. Okay. All right, so conclusion summary. Again, I went through this really quickly because I think you guys know this, but it's very important. Use the why test to find out what the conclusion is. Conclusion can be anywhere, and conclusion is not going to usually be like an objective fact, it's going to be the author's claim. Do you guys have any doubts on conclusion identification? Yes, no, maybe so. No? Okay. All right. Now we will go into weaken arguments. So, what are weaken arguments? Weaken argument is one of the subtypes of CR, and it is one of the types of questions that are most commonly asked. So, what you are supposed to do in a weaken argument is try to find a crack in the argument which will make the conclusion less likely. That is the entire purpose of a weaken argument. You're supposed to act as a lawyer and you're supposed to find out what will make this case weak. Okay? All right, and there is a 5-step process. So if you guys have writing material with you, please write this down. If you guys are using your phone to take notes, write it down. If you guys are, or take a screenshot. But this is the most important thing. I want you guys to promise me that at least for this session, for every single strengthen and weaken question that you do, you are going to follow this 5-step process. Okay? So, process one is understanding the passage. You should not move on until you've understood exactly what is happening in the passage. Step two, which is find the conclusion, right? That is, we already discussed, it's super important. Step three is you're supposed to find the logical link. So, this is the thing in CR, okay? This is one of the most important things you're going to learn today. In every CR question, there is going to be a logical link. There's going to be some core logic of the argument where the author is looking at thing A and that author is connecting thing A to thing B. And you are supposed to find that logical link. So I'll tell you, when I started CR, at that point of time, I used to get a lot of questions wrong randomly. And I had no idea why I was getting questions wrong. And the reason that most people get questions wrong is either they don't understand the logical link of the argument, they think that the logical link is something else than what the core logical link is, or they attack the facts of the argument. One more thing, if you are taking notes, take down this note. Never attack the facts of the argument when you are talking about a CRGMAT question. Only attack the logical link. All right, so step three is find the logical link. Step four, logical and find the pre-thinking. So pre-thinking in case of weaken is finding out the gap in the argument. What is the exact gap that is going to be there? And then step five is analyzing the answer choices. Don't fret, I'm going to explain it all with a very simple example. Okay? So, I'm saying that my neighbor's dog barks every morning. Therefore, I need to buy earplugs. Tell me, guys, what is the conclusion here? Tell me. I will have some lag or delay here. So, once you tell me, I'll find out a couple of seconds later. But yeah, what is the conclusion here? I need to buy earplugs. Perfect. Fantastic. That is the conclusion. I need to buy earplugs. What is the logical link in the argument? What did the author connect? The author connected neighbor's dog barking to buying earphones. That is the entire logical link in the argument. So, barking bothers me and earplugs will solve it. Now, I want you guys to think about it. What will weaken this argument? Think about it from the logical link perspective. The author linked two things. The author linked the dog barking to buying earphones. What is something that could break that logic? What is something, that could like attack that gap in the argument? Think about it. I really want a couple of examples before I move on. And there can be so many once you start getting creative here. Tell me. I'll wait for 10 seconds and then I'll move on. Fantastic. Great, Sneha. I mean, very bad for the dog, not great for the dog, but great for the argument. Right. A dog could lose voice. The dog could lose his voice. Great. Earplugs have no benefit for that. Yes, very good, Andrew. You're saying that, okay, earplugs could benefit, but maybe like those earpods have absolutely nothing to do and cannot drown out the dog's voice. I am deaf. Fantastic. Turchis Brun. I'm sorry, I'm massacring your name. Earplugs are not effective. Very good, Ronak. Perfect. I'm very happy. Okay, I really want to talk about this one, James. Earplugs are not the only remedy. That is not something that will weaken the argument. What is happening in the argument? We are connecting two things. Dog barking to earplugs will solve it. It is okay that they are not the only remedy. But if they are helping solve barking bothers me, then that is not the gap in the argument. Does it make sense? So, what if I'm deaf? Awesome, somebody answered it. What if I'm not home when he barks? Let us say the dog starts barking at 7 a.m. I leave at 5 a.m. I'm not even there. What if it's a tiny little Shih Tzu, like a very cute Shih Tzu who's barking, and I can't even hear him or her barking? Right. So, in case of any of this, the conclusion would break. And I want you to notice one thing. Did I say that the dog does not bark? Did I say that, okay, probably my neighbor does not have a dog? I hallucinated a dog. I'm schizophrenic. I never said any of that. We are supposed to take it as a fact that the dog barks every morning and I need to, and like that, I need to buy earplugs is what we need to break. Awesome. Now comes an actual GMAT question. We have been like, playing in the kiddie pool so far. This is going to be intense, but I really think you guys can do it. I'm going to give you 2.5 minutes for this. As soon as you're done, drop your answers in the chat. And by the way, this is a very difficult question. A lot of people get this wrong. So if somebody has commented like A, B, C, or D, just don't be biased by that. Okay, come up with your own answer. Your 2.5 minutes start now. Is the screen visible to you guys? Okay, guys, start sharing your answers. Great, we've gotten a C so far. What else? B. Mm-hmm. Okay. Got one more C. Okay. We got two B's and three C's and one A. Interesting. We got a huge variety. A or B. Okay. All right. So we have gotten A, B, C all over the place. Okay. I'll start this question. If someone wants to put their reasoning in the chat, I want to hear from A, B, C, all of you guys. If you want to put your reasoning in the chat, please do so. I'm not going to comment on any reasoning right now, guys. But please put it in the chat. I'll comment it at the end. Okay, now I am running a survey of 25-year-olds in San Francisco. Okay, I'm asking them that would you use a meal kit delivery service? 80% of them say yes. And based on this entire thing, I decide that, okay, you know what? I'm going to launch this service nationwide and I'm going to target all the age groups. What is wrong with my plan? What weakens my plan's likelihood of success? Is it that meal kit services require significant logistical infrastructure, or option which is option one, or is it option two that people over 60 who make up 70% of the national population they prefer shopping at physical grocery stores over delivery services? Yeah, very good. Fantastic, Vaibhav. Very, very good. Yeah. You kind of like gave the spoiler away. I'm so sorry. T. I don't know how to pronounce it. T. Fantastic, Vaibhav. That is like very nuanced thinking. Very good. All right, but I want to know more. Option one or option two? Your final decision is A. Great, Andrew. But let's focus on this question. I'm running this survey of 25-year-olds in San Francisco. They say that they'll use the meal kit delivery service. And based on that, I launch it nationwide, targeting all the age groups, which is most weakening my plan's likelihood of success. Give me option one, option two. We have moved on from that question. We will get back to that. Option two. Okay, I've got a couple of option twos here. Mm-hmm. Anyone in option one? I have a lag, so if I'm scolding you guys, I'm so sorry. Okay, all right. So the answer is obviously option two, right? So we have surveyed 70% of we have surveyed 25-year-olds in San Francisco, which is like a different group. And we are using that group to make decisions on like the entire nation. And where in this case 70% are over 60 and they have prefer physical stores. So we surveyed one group and we applied those learnings to a different group. Hence, our plan failed. Logistical infrastructure has nothing to do with whether people want the service or not. That does not address the group mismatch. So now let us look at this question again. What is happening in this question? In this question, the entire plan is that the middle aged car is the average middle aged person is doing XYZ, and based on that you are entirely figuring out the plan that the objective is going to be met. But look at option C. The group that is surveyed, the group that is talked about, is different than the group for which the plan is to be met, right? So the answer here is C. The answer here is that since Papua is an aging country with more than half its population near retirement age, the chief consideration is the convenience rather than the cost to do so. Just stay with me for a second here. Isn't it the exact same logic? Let us let us look at the meal kit question. We surveyed 25-year-olds. We applied it to the national population where 70% were 60 plus. Don't worry, I'll get to it, Fateh. Don't worry. Because of those different preferences, the plan failed. What happened in the GMAT question? We surveyed middle aged people in the capital city. We applied it to all of Papua, where 50% of that are near retirement age, where the demographic is not matching. Because of those different priorities, the plan failed. Right? The exact same group survey applied to a different group, there's a mismatch. And I would like to point out that most of you got the first meal kit question correct, didn't you? And when I put it forward, it seemed like ridiculously easy, right? Like, okay, how could anyone choose option one here? It was obvious what the answer was. So why couldn't you get the same logic on the GMAT question? Because on the GMAT question, there were so many layers to it. It was buried. There were so many words. There were so many things happening that you could not identify the core of the argument. And because of that, you got the question wrong. But the good news is that I'm going to teach you the entire process through which you can essentially um, you like the GMAT question is as easy for you as the meal kit question was. Okay, so let's go through the process, and we'll also go through, why it's like why A is the wrong answer. All right, so we'll first understand the passage, identify the conclusion, figure out the main logical link, pre-think ways to weaken the link, and analyze the answer choices. Prerna, I am really not sure. I have not taken the GRE. This is like, I think this will be very helpful for GMAT. If someone has taken the GRE, they can probably help here. Okay, so let us look at understanding the passage. What is happening in the passage? What are the key facts? We are serving Rambo City, not the entire country. We are serving middle aged people, not all ages. 99% own gasoline cars. Cost motivates them. And our plan is to have like nationwide all of Papua at a minimum cost. And the conclusion, yes, I'll bring to it. And the conclusion is that this will significantly reduce air pollution in all of Papua in the next 5 years. Now, Sneha, you're asking how to go through all five processes within 3 minutes. Right after I'm done with this question, I want to answer this. I want to answer this right off the bat. And if I don't answer, remind me again. Okay? Yeah. So what is something that you need to break when it comes to a CR question is that there will be an evidence. Based on the evidence, there'll be a conclusion. So, what you need to do is break the connection of evidence and conclusion. Basically, think about it like this. Is it possible? And if you are writing it down, please write this. Is it possible that the evidence is true, but despite that, the conclusion is not true? Is it possible? And that's where your brainstorming starts. That's where your thinking needs to start from. So, in this case, what you need to do is it possible that the survey happened? The survey is correct, everything is correct, but still the conclusion will not hold true. That is what you need to ask. Okay. So, for that, you have to examine everything perfectly. And I want you to answer this honestly. When you first read the passage, did you notice that it was about middle aged people in the capital? Or did you think it was a general survey of the people in Papua? I want to hear from you guys. What did you think when you actually first read the passage? Did you see who the survey was about? And again, there'll be lag. Okay, so usually people did not notice. Okay, great. All right, we got a mixture of people who noticed and did not notice. Okay, pause points help me a lot. Ah, fantastic. Amazing. Great, great. So thank you so much for being so honest, guys. That is a really, really important thing. People who noticed, amazing, fantastic. People who did not notice, these tiny, tiny things can actually, make you lose points in CR. But the thing is that it's a very easily acquirable skill set. That's why I don't think you hear my voice echoing. Does anyone else hear echoing? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay. I think I'm too loud. I'll just calm down. Okay. So, what was I saying? Uh, oh, yes, yes, yes. Yeah. So when you are actually reading it, you just need to read a little bit precisely. You just need to be very meticulous, very precise about your reading. And just inculcating this one habit, that will really, really help you. Okay. All right. So then let us look at the logical flow of this argument. What is this argument claiming? Survey is that middle-aged people in capital are motivated by cost. Then you're like, the nationwide economical plan, everyone will switch. And pollution will reduce significantly. So the assumption here, the core logic over here is that what is applying to people in the survey will apply to everybody. And that is the gap that we need to break. So our pre-thinking is that evidence is about group A, conclusion is about group B. So our attack is need to show that group B is different from group A in a way that matters. So before we look at the choices, before we even look at the answer choices, we need to think about it that, okay, what if the actual population is different than our group A, is different than the people we surveyed? And then we have to look at the answers. And that's why C is the correct answer, because survey group and actual population group, they are very different. So however cost savings you offer, they don't care about it. Even if people in San Francisco love the meal kit delivery service, but people in like the entire nation, they do not like it. So it doesn't matter how good you make it for the people of San Francisco, it's not going to work for the majority. Got it? So A is like one of the very common issues that people had. So A is a Okay, no worries, no worries. Yeah, so A is a common trap that people had. So here again, like what the mistake that people make in A is the same mistake that I made when I first started CR. I broke the wrong link. A is talking about environmental concerns and extra money. Let us look at A again. So you guys have some. Yeah. A said that though some citizens are concerned about the negative environmental impact, they will not spend any extra money to protect their environment. There is no requirement for people to spend extra money to protect the environment. That is not what the argument is saying at all. That is not the major link that is there in the argument. The argument does not care about that. Right. So A talks about environmental concerns and extra money, but plan is offering minimal cost, not extra money. So A is attacking the wrong link. So the most important thing is that when you are looking at the argument, you have to figure out which logical link we need to break. Now, the second problem with A. A says that some citizens won't spend extra. Some doesn't mean all. Some is not going to weaken, most people will switch. Let me give you this example. Tell me yes or no. If I'm saying that if Baskin Robbins launches Kesar Pista, most diehard customers will not switch. And the statement is that some diehard fans won't switch. Oh, sorry, will switch. Sorry, I made a mistake. But yeah, it's clear. Tell me, will the statement weaken the claim or not? Tell me, will this statement weaken the claim? I'll need to wait for a second to hear you guys. No, no. Great. Yeah. It will not weaken the claim. The argument is not saying that if Baskin Robin launches Kesar Pista, all natural customers will switch. If it was saying all natural customers will switch, then it would have been a weakener. But it just says some diehard fans won't switch. All right, which makes it not a weakener. Okay, so evidence about some. Some is few, yeah. Yeah. So I want you guys to write this down if you're writing notes, because this is a very common trap on the GMAT called the sum trap. Evidence about some will not weaken a claim about most. Most is not all. Some exceptions are already expected. So when you are reading some, you have to be very, very clear in your head that some is not going to weaken a claim about most. Okay? Other answers, quick elimination. I'll quickly show you why not. B talks about budget, deficit, and bankruptcy risk. So this is about whether the government can afford the plan, not whether the plan will work if implemented. I think someone had a doubt about B, right? Someone said why not B? I do not remember who that was. But yeah. So that is also a very common trap that GMAT puts in questions. They'll be like, oh wait, the plan needs money. That's like one of the most common things that the GMAT will put. It'll be like, oh, you know what, but the plan requires so much money. That's not what the question is asking. They're asking that would the plan work if implemented, not whether the plan is expensive. Right. So B talks about whether the government can afford, not whether it will work. D and E, none of you selected, so I'm not going to discuss that. So only C is attacking the key assumption. Okay. I hope you guys are liking the session so far. If you have any doubts, keep posting it. And if you, whatever like you have learned so far, this is the first actual question that we did. Tell me what you learned so far. There's going to be a huge lag here also, but what can I do? Yeah, tell me what you learned so far while I'll discuss the key takeaways. So, the key takeaways are number one, super important. You have to pay attention to scope. Who was surveyed? What is the conclusion about? In a lot of cases, evidence will be given like this about someone who is surveying, sorry, about someone who's being surveyed, about this group of people. So, you have to be very, very clinical about this, very precise. Who is the person being surveyed or who is the group being surveyed, and what is the conclusion about? Catch the mismatch. Second, identify the key link. The most important thing. Oh my, yes, awesome. Thank you so much, guys. The most important thing, what is the key link that you have to break? If you break some other link, the argument is not going to break. Third is figure out, pre-think the gap. You have to know what the gap is and then figure out what will break that. And fourth, watch out for some. Whenever you see the word some, literally it should be like, damn, okay, I have to be more careful now. Okay, great. So we got two takeaways from you guys that keywords are extremely important and don't break the wrong link. All righty. Now, let's do this question. This is an infamous question. I will give you guys 3 minutes to do it. It's a very difficult question, but use the methodology. I'm going to show you guys the process again. What is the process? Why is this so hard? This is the process. Yeah. Understand the passage, identify the conclusion, figure out the main logical link, pre-think ways to break that link, the gap in the argument, and then analyze the answer choices. Okay? I want you guys to do this. Level of the previous question. That was, I think, a 655 to 7051. I was accidentally about to reveal the answer. Okay. Do this question. You have 3 minutes. Okay, we've gotten one answer so far. Tara, you have a doubt. I'll address that once we are done with this question. Okay, guys, 30 more seconds. Yeah, I don't mind doing that. I'll do that. I'll put it in the comments after the session. A lot of A's. Usually, this question is very divisive. That happens. Used to happen to me a lot. Okay, we've gotten one E, so okay. I want to hear from some more of you. E2, okay. So I distinctly remember this question from my GMAT prep days. I spent so much time on this question. This question just got me like in tears. Okay, all right. Great. Now let us go on to this question explanation. Tell me this. A hospital reports that emergency room visits for bee stings increased by 200% from 2023 to 2024. Which best explains the increase without an increase in bee population? One, two, or three? Just put it in the option one, option two, option three. Option one is that a new housing development was built next to a nature preserve. Option two was that most bee sting accidents happen during summer months. And three is that hospital improved its emergency care. Can you put one, two, three so like it's easier to uh, figure out what exactly are you guys referring to? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So we are getting a majority of ones here, and we're getting some threes. Okay. So the answer is one. So I'll tell you this entire thing, right? So the a hospital is saying that the emergency room visits have increased a lot, from 2023 to 2024. So let us assume that one happened, okay? Earlier in 2023, there was no nature preserve, there's no housing development near a nature preserve, right? So let us say number of bees are 10. Number of people are 10. Number of bees and number of humans, they don't interact with each other. They're both living their separate lives, having their own fun. They don't care about each other. But we built a housing development next to a nature preserve. So now what happened? And this preserve is where the bees are nesting. So now what happens? Number of humans are the same. Number of bees are the same. But humans and bees are overlapping with each other, right? More and more humans and bees are interacting with each other, and because of that there are so many bee stings despite an increase in bee population. So the answer here is one. Okay, three of hospital improved its emergency rooms, but I mean we don't really know why like that, what that has to do with increase in bee stings. Like what if that is the only hospital in the area, and if in the case that it is the only hospital in the area, just because you are, let's say, good at providing heart attack services doesn't mean that you will get more patients in that area coming from heart attack. Like the incidence is going to be directly proportional, right? This is about the incidence. This is actually real world logic. Three is a little bit of real world logic, so I'm not going to fault you for that. But the entire point of this argument, the reason that I showed you this argument is that if you look at this particular question, if you look at this entire thing, what is happening? Let me walk you through this process. Here, more humans are moving to Florida. Yes, don't worry. I'm going to explain the main GMAT question. I think that will make that hospital one clear as well. So, what is happening here is that there are more humans in Florida. What is that leading to? More golf courses, more suburbs. So, the alligator population is unchanged, but the overlap increases. Similar like what happened in bees. That, because of the new housing next to bees, humans were same, bees were same, but overlap increased. Right. Sorry. So more incidents doesn't mean more of the same thing, just more a human animal overlap. Okay, so if we look at this process, okay, guys, please let's focus here. Okay. So if we look at this understanding the process, if we like what are the key facts in the process? That in 1960s the population was dwindling. So what happened that hunting was banned. And in early 1990s, population recovered and reports increased dramatically. So, what is the main logical jump here? Right. What is the main logic of the argument? That because there are more sightings on golf courses and lawns, more alligators actually exist. The author assumes that just because we are seeing more, there are more. And that is the key logic of the argument. Guys, can we move on from the hospital emergency thing? Like, see, I think let's move on to this particular question. It's an actual GMAT question. That was just a simple example. Let's go here. Let's go into the main logic of this particular question. Right. The logical jump is just because you are seeing more alligators doesn't mean that there are more alligators. That is the main thing, right? So, the critical question that you need to ask is, could the observation increase without the reality changing? That was what you actually had to ask when you were basically figuring out the your actual GMAT question. More people moved to Florida, more golf courses got built, and humans expanded into alligator territory. So here also, do you realize the exact same thing is happening? We have our evidence, we have our conclusion, we are not questioning the evidence. Are we saying anything of that sort? Are we saying something that, oh, you know what, maybe maybe the reports did not increase? We are not saying that. We are accepting the fact that reports increased. But what we are questioning is, can the evidence be true while the conclusion is not true? Right, that is our main question. So is it possible that we are the way we measure or observe something can change without that thing itself changing? So let us say you imagine in this particular situation, earlier there were five alligators and there were five people, they were living separately. But now what happened? Now there are 500 people. So each of those 500 people is looking at that one alligator, and each of those 500 people are saying that, oh my god, I saw an alligator. So there's a total of 500 alligators, but in reality, they're all looking at that same alligator, right? So the number of alligators is still the same, but the humans increased, right? So that is a very important principle. So A literally says that there's more humans, maybe more golf courses. Because of that, there is more overlap leading to more sightings. Now, E is the most common wrong answer. And E says that most of the sightings of alligators on golf courses and lawns occurred at times where only a few people were present. So I remember when I was doing this question, E really stumped me. And it seems like, it seems like a very good answer, right? Because it is questioning that, okay, maybe you did not even see those things. Maybe the reports of those sightings are false. Maybe you have false data. But one thing which is super, super important to know is that what is this entire thing? Don't worry, you'll get a lot of right answers now. What is this entire thing saying? This entire thing is saying that there is a alligator population must have increased significantly if the alligator sightings are false, right? That explains, okay, why the data could be mistaken. But does it say why the change happened? Does it say why they increased dramatically? I want you guys to think, especially those who chose E, I want you guys to think about it because that was one of the most, like, that was my common error as well. It doesn't explain why citing suddenly jumped 300%, right? If it was misidentification, it should stay constant over time, right? So E is questioning the reliability, but it doesn't explain a change. So one more thing, very important here, that your gap you figured out is basically like the entire logical thing is about change. So if you are talking about something happening in real world, which is a change, you need an alternative. Your evidence also needs to change. Like something, your answer also has to define a change. Okay? Can we keep the comments like a little bit answering my questions? Or if you guys have any questions, just put that in. I think that would be like a little bit better. Okay. Why B, C, and D are wrong? I think none of you guys picked this. So I don't think we need to go over there. So, what are the key takeaways here? So now I want you guys to tell me what you think are the key takeaways. I'm mentioning these, but I also want to hear from you guys. What are your personal key takeaways? One is that observation is not equal to reality. When X increase, therefore Y increase. Think about it. Could X increase without Y increasing? Could the measurement mechanism have changed? And look for alternative explanations. They break causal links. So look for answers that show that, okay, listen, this change happened, but it happened for a different reason. Yes, very good. Don't overthink. Listen, if you are following this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like just do not overthink over there. Right. So you'll have to figure out what exactly to overthink. How many such number of patterns overall exist? Um, okay. Honestly, it's one thing only. If you look at it, let me just look at this one. If we look at this question one and question two, right? Question one, question two, the exact same thing is happening. What did we do? There's no different pattern here. Essentially, it's just one thing which is going to you're going to see that evidence is not going to prove the conclusion. Evidence is true, but it doesn't directly relate to conclusion. Got it? So, like, if you are following the process step by step, you'll be able to nail all the questions. Okay, I'm going to address your doubts. Human population increase could also indicate the number of hunters increasing and hence decrease in alligator population. So, I'm really happy you asked this, Ronak. Okay, and one thing I want you to do is you need to pre think and you need to focus on the question stem, not question stem not on the answer. So you're not supposed to, so when you look at this question, you're supposed to look at what is the conclusion, what is the main thing. So our conclusion, author is saying that there are more alligators. The number of alligators, the alligator population must have increased significantly over the decade. This is the conclusion. Then what is our evidence? It's because reports of alligators increased on golf courses and lawns, specifically on golf courses and lawns. What is the thing that is connecting both of them? The logical jump is that there's more sightings on golf courses and lawns, and because of that, like more alligators actually exist. So the entire thing is that we are seeing more, there are more. So then what is your pre thinking? Your pre thinking is you have to figure out some answer which will show you observation increasing without the reality changing. So you that is your filter with which you look at the questions. Because if you like overthink a lot of, that's why it's important to do this pre-thinking first, because if you overthink the answer choice a lot, it is possible that you will not get the right answer. But if you have this pre-thinking mechanism in place, so whatever, if you know that my right answer is going to tell me that the observation is increasing without the reality changing, and if you look at each and every single answer from that filter, from that point of view, that will help you find the correct answer. Does that make sense, Ronak? Okay. Tara, what if people going to golf course didn't increase? There's an assumption you're making. Because of assumption, you made the incorrect choice. Again, the same thing to you. When you are looking at the answer choices, you just need to figure it out that, okay, listen, is it possible? Is my answer choice doing the job? Could my answer choice is do the exact job that a weakener requires? That is what you're supposed to match. Because, honestly, because in the real world, there's hundreds and thousands of things that can happen. So if you think about every single possibility, you will not realize which assumptions are false, which assumptions are true. And you will get stuck into that overthinking loop, right? So what you need to do is just need to figure out this. All right. Um, Sneha says, in case you're unable to figure out the pre-thinking despite understanding the passage evidence conclusion, see, it's okay. But the one thing you need to identify is the gap in the argument. Got it? Because that is what you are supposed to attack. So, okay, this is going to be like a little bit. So there is this tale called the Mahabharat. Okay, it's like, I know I'm going a little bit off topic, but I think it's very important for you guys. Does anyone know about Mahabharat? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, so it's like a epic in India, and there is one story there. Okay, it's like this. There's this one archer. He is a brilliant archer, and he's told this thing by one of his teachers. Yeah, and there's like a group of people. Okay, there's like a group of five brothers, and they are all told that, okay, listen, you are supposed to hit this one. You're supposed to hit like one bird's eye. Okay, there's like a fake bird, and you're like supposed to hit one fake bird's eye. So this is a story of five brothers, and they are told to hit one fake bird's eye. And there is a teacher. They had like a guruji. There's a teacher, and the teacher asks all the different students one by one. He asks one student that, okay, what do you see? Without even putting the arrow, what do you see? And that student says that, I look at the sky, I'm seeing the tree, I see the birds, I see the eye. He says all of that. The teacher says, okay, don't bother. Another student, what he sees, that other guy said that I also see the field beyond that, I see the entire sky, I see everything. Then he asked the third student, and that guy is the star archer. The guru asks, what do you see? That guy answers, I see the bird's eye. That is it. He did not see anything else. Yeah. He did not see the sky. He did not see the tree. He did not see the branch. He did not see anything. And because of that, that guru, that teacher is like, okay, you can actually, throw the arrow or whatever, string the arrow, whatever. And then that person, he actually hits the bird's eye. Okay. Guys, we're not discussing about fiction or not right now. Please. The point of this entire thing is basically bird's eye. So you are supposed to look at that bird's eye, and do you're supposed to figure out an answer that exactly hits on this bird's eye. Okay? So this is the most important thing. So when you are looking at an argument, you are supposed to figure out what is the conclusion here, what is the evidence, what is the logical link, and then look at the gap. And if you are, the more crystal clear your gap is, the more crystal clear your answer is going to be. Got it? Guys, everyone has given like 3 hours of their time to this session. Let's please you know, keep it related to actual CR. The point of this is that you should be very crystal clear about the gap. Yeah. Okay, so I have one more question. Respecting the facts and evidence, what additional fact or evidence keeping the given facts can answer my conclusion, right? Yeah, so essentially what you have to figure out that this is your fact, it is true. This is your conclusion, it is true. Is it possible that, please guys, please, this is your fact, this is your conclusion. Is it possible that given the fact, another thing could explain the conclusion? That is something that you have to figure out. Given the fact in the argument, is it possible that some other explanation can be there for the conclusion? That is what you need to figure out in weekend questions. Okay? Is this question clear to everybody? All right. If you have any doubts, please tell me or we can move on. First, tell me what you learned from this session. But the question was, what answer weakens the argument? Yeah. So, the entire argument, very, very, very good question. Because why not? Why three? Okay, very good question. So, logical gap, finding the logical gap is the key in both strengthen and weaken arguments. The process is the same. But the main thing that you need to do is find out what is the logical gap. So then when you are doing it like doing a strengthen question, then you're like, okay, how do you use it to weaken the argument? Sorry, how do you use it to strengthen the argument? And in a weaken question, you're like, how do you use it to weaken the argument? But you need to figure out what the logical gap of the argument is. Okay? Please don't do this to me, guys. Okay, now we are going to use the same five-step process for a strengthen question. But first, tell me what you guys learned in a weaken question. And no jokes, please. Please. यार. And the more clear you are about the gap, the more clear you are that this is the exact gap that I want to target, answer choice analysis will be done in literally seconds. You will not get strayed by trap answers. Yeah, great. Yep, perfect. Identify the facts and don't question the facts. That is very important. Unfortunately, it's not fun for me. It's fun for you guys. Okay, now we are going to look at strengthen questions. Perfect. Do you guys have any questions in the entire weekend process? Really? Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Great. Do you guys have any questions or should we move on? All right. So let's focus on strengthen questions now. In strengthen questions, we are going to have the exact same five-step process. First, understand the passage. Second, find the conclusion. Third, figure out the logical link, figure out the gap in the argument. Fourth, pre think. Think about what could potentially fill that gap. And then number five is analyze the answer choices. Okay. So if you compare it to the neighbor's dog, right? It's the exact same example. So weaken, in case of weaken, what would you say? That you have to basically break that linkage, right? You have to, in weaken, you have to break that linkage between the neighbor's dog barking and the need to buy earplugs. So how will you break it? Either I'm deaf, I'm not home, it's a tiny shih tzu. In case of strengthen, what will you do? You will basically think of, okay, how can I strengthen this link, right? Between the neighbor barking and the need to buy earplugs. How do you strengthen this? Maybe you work from home and you need quiet for calls. Maybe you try closing windows, but they don't help. Maybe it's like a very large German Shepherd. So, it barks really loudly, and that's why you need to buy earplugs. So, what you're going to do in case of strengthen is you're supposed to help the author close the logical gap. What you're supposed to do in case of weaken is that you're going to be against the author and you're going to point a finger at their gap. Fateh says, should we write down the link? How much should we write? Oh, yes, yes, yes. I am very happy you guys asked me that because it was one of the questions that I was addressing. Okay. So somebody had also, I think someone had asked me, like, how do you do this entire five-step process in literally, how do you do this five-step process in 3 minutes? So, do you guys know how to drive? Any of you know how to drive? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, I'm assuming that, some of you would know how to drive. All right. So remember, when you had started to learn how to drive, at that time there were so many things to keep in mind. You had to press the clutch, you had to press the brake, you had to give the indicator, then you had to check the rear view mirror, then you had to check the side view mirror. It used to be such an overwhelming process. I remember it was incredibly overwhelming for me. It took me the longest time to learn how to drive. Yes, you should. Yeah, it took me the longest time to learn how to drive, right? But now when I drive, at that point of time, I'm literally listening to music, I'm listening to my podcast, I'm chilling. I don't need to think, oh, I need to check the rear view, oh, I need to press the clutch, I need to press the brake. Why? Because it is automatic now, right? Because you've done it so many times. Yeah, but even still, right? You still have to give the indicators, you have to check the rearview mirror. But the entire thing is it becomes automatic because you have done it so many times that it goes into your muscle memory. And that is what will happen in CR. So when I first started, doing my CR questions, it used to be overwhelming for me too. There are times, I kid you not, I have spent 15 to 20 minutes on one CR question. But because it was, because I did it consistently so many times, following the exact same process again and again, what happened is then on the actual GMAT, when I had a question, I did not even have to think about it because the entire process was so automatic. Conclusion, understanding principle, logical link, gap. Finding the gap in literally 40 seconds to 1 minute. And then just looking at the different A, B, C, D, E according to that gap. Answer as analysis. All right, so this is what will happen for you guys. Once you basically figure out how to do this, and it definitely will be time consuming initially, but once you actually figure out how to do this, you will see that on the actual GMAT, everything will be automatic. And that's when you will see actual real improvement. Okay, so don't worry about timing right now. Worrying about timing initially until your accuracy is 80% is putting, the cart before the horse. Uh, Yash, okay, the key is not just practice. If you don't use the process and you practice 300 CR questions, nothing will happen. What is important is that you are practicing the process. With every single CR question, no matter how annoying it feels, no matter how annoying the entire process is, you are not moving on to answers analysis until you have found the gap. You are essentially making sure that you are following the process on every single question. You do this, I swear to you, your actual accuracy will improve. Don't worry about that, Yash. Right now the metric that you guys should be focusing on is 80% in medium questions. If you have not reached 80% in medium questions, don't worry about time. Okay, thank you. All right, now let us look at this argument. I'm going to give you guys 2.5, 3 minutes. And please, guys, no jokes for this, okay? Let's keep focus. Okay, I'm gonna answer both your questions, guys. Once people solve this particular question. Start putting in your answers. Okay, last 20 seconds. Okay, so I have received bunch of different answers ranging from A and most common as A and D. Okay, before I move on to the answer, I just want to address some of the comments. Your Fateh is asking when you got V90, how much did you write on Scratchpad? Um, in my on my actual GMAT, I had written very little, basically just A B C D E and crossing out the answers. But in my actual practice, I used to write a lot, like a lot. Kind of statements such as "I only hear the dog barking when my neighbor is taking it out on a walk" weaken the conclusion. Um, Not really, because the conclusion is connecting earphones to barking. So something which directly, breaks the earphone to barking thing could be a little bit better. But again, like I think there's so many hypotheticals to consider, so it's best to basically do like an actual GMAT question and ask me something on an actual GMAT question. That would be more helpful. Okay, so I've received a bunch of A's and D's. I think there's one question that I did not end up answering. Okay, I don't remember. All right. So, before I go on to the answer, I want to ask you guys this. My family's average age is 25. My grandpa moves out, and my cousin moves in. My grandpa is 75, my cousin is 25. Will the average go up or down? Tell me. Mm-hmm. One person is saying down, Andrew. Okay. What about the rest of you? Will it go up or down? Mm-hmm. I want to hear from more of you. I think this is basic, basic averages, right? It is an obvious down, right? Like if I'm removing 75 and if I'm adding 25, of course the average will drop. This is something super basic, right? You remove a bigger number, you add a smaller number, the average drops. Now, let me tell you this, ask you this. My family's average age is 35. Okay. Somebody moved out. My cousin, age of 25, moved in. Will the average go up? Will it go down? Or we can't tell? I want to hear from you guys. What do you think will happen to the average? Okay, a couple of you are saying can't tell. Does anyone think it'll go up or down? Okay. Mm-hmm. So the answer is obviously can't tell because I only told you who moved in. I did not tell you who moved out. Okay. What if a baby moved out 1 year of age? Then the average would go up. I mean, baby should not go out, at 1 year, but assuming we are in a world where babies can go out on their own. What if, let us say, the grandparent moved out, which was like 80 years of age, then the average would go down. What if an 18-year-old sibling moved out, then the average would go up. What if the 25-year-old cousin moved out, then the average would stay the same. So, for calculating the average, what do you need? You need both what is added and what is removed. Is this clear to everybody? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, I'm assuming it's clear to you guys. Now, I want you guys to do this question again. You have 40 seconds. Come on, I want to hear from more of you guys. You can change your answer if you want to. I want to know what you guys think right now after what we discussed. What is the answer? I got one A and one D, and I want to hear more. Okay, I got one more D. Mm-hmm. Seems like a majority of you are saying D now. Okay. If we look at this argument, okay, what is happening here? The mayor is saying that the new jobs are paying above the city average, but some jobs were eliminated. We don't know how much the eliminated jobs paid. Think back to our family example. We don't know which one was removed. Without knowing what was removed, how can you prove that the average is rising? So the answer is D, that the average pay for jobs eliminated has been roughly equal to the citywide average. Whoever chose A, B, don't worry, I'm going to explain the entire thing to you so that it's crystal clear. Let's do the math. Okay. What is the entire argument saying? Yeah. It is saying that there were some jobs that were lost. Okay. But more jobs were created. And the pay for these jobs has been higher than the average pay for jobs citywide. Because of that, the conclusion is that the average paycheck has been getting bigger. But if we don't know how much the eliminated jobs pay. That is the information that we don't have. Okay, let us say that the citywide average is $50,000. New jobs are paying $60,000. Is it correct that it is more than citywide average? Yes. In scenario one, let us assume that the eliminated jobs are $50,000, same as a citywide average, and new jobs are higher than citywide average, 60,000. What would happen? Average increases. But what happens if the eliminated jobs were very high paying? Let's say $80,000, $100,000. Some really amazing aerospace engineer jobs were removed, where they were like paid like shit tons of money. What would happen in that case? Despite 60,000 being more than the average citywide average of 50,000, the average would still decrease. Why? Because we don't because the eliminated jobs, they were paying 80,000. Got it? So if you look at like a scenario where eliminated jobs are paying lower, 30,000, even in that case, average would increase. So without knowing what eliminated jobs pay, can you say that that the citywide average was getting bigger? Without knowing what they paid, you can't prove the conclusion. Think back to our example. All of you got this right. Here, a cousin moved in, somebody moved out. Without knowing what was the age of someone who moved out, could you tell whether the average went up or down? If a baby went out, it was up. Grandparent moved out, it was down. Do you see one number that doesn't matter here? Family's average age 35. It literally does not matter. What matters? Who came in, who came out. Got it? That is why the answer here is D. Because what is the gap in the argument? Let us go through the process. What is the conclusion? Yeah. What is the conclusion here? That the average paycheck is getting bigger. What is the evidence? That more jobs were created than eliminated. And the average pay is higher than the average pay citywide. And they're connecting the evidence to the conclusion. So, what is the gap? What is something that we have to figure out? That the conclusion is somewhere where the conclusion is true. But like the evidence and like what connects the evidence to the conclusion? That is the gap. And if you work on that, that is the missing thing. The information that we don't have here is about the jobs that were eliminated. We do not have that information. And unless we have that information, can we actually answer it? unless we know if it was the baby who moved out, or the grandparent who moved out, or a 25-year-old moved out, or an 18-year-old moved out. How can we say that the average increased? Right? Great. Thank you so much. So I hope that this is clear to everybody. And I will basically I'll basically tell you why the others are wrong as well. So, and you would only be able to completely get this like in seconds if you know what the gap is. If you have thought about it, that okay, listen, what I don't know is about the eliminated jobs. So I'm going to look for an option which talks about the eliminated jobs. And only one option does that, that's a D. So here, what will happen here is that you will not have to go through the back and forth that, oh, is it this answer? Is it that answer? Is it this? Is it that? You will not have to go in that overthinking hole because you know what you're looking for. Okay? All right. So why did A trap you? You thought that, okay, recent new jobs pay more than earlier new jobs. It's like, great, new jobs are getting better. But look at the math. Look at like, okay, if the citywide average is 50K, earlier new, better, 60K. Recent new, also better, 60K. But if the eliminated jobs are $120,000, the average would still fall, right? Because you only know what's happening to the newer jobs. You don't know what's happening to the eliminated jobs. I hope this makes sense to all of you. And I hope you realize that weaken and strengthen are basically two sides of the same coin. You just have to find the gap. And in weaken, you have to exploit it. In strengthen, you have to figure out an argument that fixes it. Make sense? Okay, let us review what we covered. So tell me what we learned so far. And then no break for you guys. We'll directly go on to assumption. Yeah. Tell me what you learned so far. We covered two weekend questions and one strengthened question. Now we are going to cover some more assumption questions. And then I'll give you a homework question. Great. Ansh, Sai, Pratap Singh. But also think of like in a larger, in a process way, what you learned. Something that you will use consistently. Come on, tell me. Give me some more inputs, guys. Let me take you through the process. Again, if you have not taken a screenshot, please do. Find the gap, very important. This process, follow it everywhere. And when you find the wrong, when you get a question wrong, all you need to do is you need to figure out which of these you got wrong. Did you not understand the passage? Did you not find the conclusion? Did you not find the logical link? And I tell you this, if you get a question wrong, it is likely because the gap is in one of these five places. There is no other reason to get a question wrong. And once you know what the gap is, okay, is it the conclusion? Is it the logical link? You couldn't find the gap. You couldn't analyze the answer choices. That's what you need to work on. That is a skill you need to develop. But the most important thing, you guys have the logic. Get that. The meal kit question, you got correct. This baby question, you got correct. There's one simple question. The hospital question, most of you got it correct. You have the core logic. You have what it takes. This process, yeah, I'll send the PDF. This process is only for taking what you already have, your core logic, and making it such that you can use it on a GMAT question. Got it? So I want you guys to use this. Please, please, please do. And we will move on to assumption. Let's go. How are you guys liking this session so far? Tell me. Yeah, actually, you should use numbers as much as you can. So one very important skill is visualization. Whenever you see, a passage, an article, anything, don't, don't just read. Visualize. Make a movie in your head about what's happening. Your numbers will not work in all questions, but the more you visualize, the more you tell yourself, oh, I love this. Okay. Try the fifth grader test. Okay. If you guys like this session, please press the like button. Okay. So, where was I? Yes, visualization. So even on an RC question, okay, this is something I like to call the fifth grader test. If you can explain anything, any one thing in simple terms to a fifth grader, then you've understood it. If you could not explain it without changing the meaning, you have not understood it. Yes. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a 3 minute break. Okay, exact 3 minute break, and then we'll get started. It's 9:35. You have time till 9:38. Uh, have water, have water, coffee, tea, whatever you want. Okay, we'll be back here, and I want you guys to do assumption. Assumption is one of the difficult ones. People do have trouble with it, but we'll make it easy. So just how we made strengthen and weaken easy. Now, if you follow this process, no, I promise you, follow this process on every single question. There is not a chance in hell that you will get a question wrong if you do it. Yeah. So we are going to look at assumptions, and I'm going to show you how to make assumptions super, super easy. I'll see you guys. Do not disappear on me, okay? I'll see you guys at 9:38. Hello, I hope everyone had a good break. Okay, I will answer the question. While reading, do you visualize the story of the passage or segregate the sentence as facts or conclusion and try connecting it? Okay, so step one is understanding the passage. So, in understanding the passage, you are supposed to visualize exactly what is happening. If you have not understood what the passage means, you will not be able to answer the question. Right? That is the first thing. But once you have understood it, then the facts and conclusion, they will be segregated automatically. Then it'll just be like, okay, fact, 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 conclusion. Perfect. And then you can move on. So I'll just show you the process again. What is, yeah. First one is understanding the passage. That is when you do the visualization. Second thing is finding the conclusion. That is when you're segregating things at fact and conclusion. Third is finding the logical link. This is when you figure out what is the author connecting. And then you find the gap in that. And the real answer choice is something going to be that either strengthen or weaken that gap. Okay? Great. All right. Oh, you guys are gonna have a field day with this. Okay. Assumption is something which is unstated and must be true. So it is basically like an invisible pillar holding up the entire argument. How many of you guys have seen Star Wars? Have you seen Star Wars? Yes, no, maybe. Or am I just like a very old millennial? Guys, hello. Okay. So, let us, there is this one thing in Star Wars called the Death Star. Okay, so you are supposed to think of the argument as a Death Star. So, what happens in the entire movie? Yeah. So, I've told you, you guys are gonna have a field day with this. Okay, so if you have seen it, then great. If you have not seen it, that's also great. So I'll just explain what it is. So Death Star is basically it is something that there is this one villain. Okay, his name is Darth Vader, and he creates this completely like impenetrable planet object killing machine thingy. I'm sorry, I'm not very accurate here. Yeah. So he creates this kind of thing, right? And there is just one gap. Look at that orange thing on on like the black planet thingy. It has this one little gap, this one tiny gap. Okay, there's an exhaust port, there's a weak point. And the good people, what they do, like Luke Skywalker, they basically go and they attack that one point. And on attacking that one point, what happens is that the entire Death Star blows up. Okay, so similarly as the Death Star, our arguments in CR, they also have, they are like solid, they look good, but there is an exhaust port. Sometimes, it'll be like a very badly designed Death Star, but there will be like an exhaust port or there will be a weak point. There'll be like weak points in the argument, right? So, what is your job? Is that you are supposed to be the engineer that Darth Vader never had. Okay, you are supposed to look at the entire argument. You are supposed to figure out. Yeah. You are supposed to figure out what the weak spot in the argument is, and your job is to fill that weak spot. That filling that weak spot, that is the assumption. Okay? Or why the other answers are wrong in the mayor jobs question? Okay, I'll get back to this after I explain this. Okay, so we are in flow, Sandeep. Just can you, yeah, I'll just finish this one question, then we'll go back. Okay, so your job is to be the engineer Darth Vader never had. So, what is your exhaust port? You have to ask. You found out the conclusion. What will you ask? Under what circumstances will this conclusion break down? When would it be that this conclusion would not be true anymore? And then your assumption is going to be something that prevents the breakdown. Does that make sense? All right. Okay, I'll just quickly answer your question now, Sandeep. Why are the other questions wrong? So A, I'm sure you know why A is wrong, because A doesn't talk about the eliminated jobs. So if you look at the pre-thinking, you have to think about the eliminated jobs. B, again, think back to our baby example and our the example of where people were coming and going. It doesn't matter if the average is was at a 10-year low and Mayor Delman took office. right? If we look at this one, if we look at, this particular question, your family's average age is 35. Let us say my family's average age was like 3. Okay, let us say that my family is only full of kids and toddlers. Would that make any difference if would the average go up and down if a cousin came and then somebody moved out? But that somebody was a grandpa. No matter how low the original age is, but if a 25-year-old moves in and an 80-year-old moves out, the average will go down. Does that make sense, Sandeep? So that is why B is wrong. And let us have a quick look at the others also. Is B clear to everybody? Hmm. C says that some of the jobs have been eliminated again. Number one, some. Who cares? Some trap. You have to be very clear about that. D is our actual answer, and E does a different comparison. E is comparing jobs in the city to suburbs outside the city. They have nothing to do with the argument. The argument is the paycheck in the city is getting bigger, right? So I hope this was clear to you guys. If it is not clear, then let me know. Okay. All right. So, what is our 5-step process for assumption? First thing, again, it is very similar to our process in strengthen and weaken also. First step, understand the passage. Second step, find the conclusion. There's a reason why I made you guys do like very, very easy conclusion drills in the beginning. Third step, find the exhaust port. Under what circumstances would the conclusion break down? Fourth step is basically be the engineer Darth Vader never had. Identify what will prevent that breakdown. And fifth step, analyze the answer choices. What is assumption? Assumption is something that must be true for our argument to be true. It's not like it's okay if it's true, it's okay if it's not true. It is something that without that, the argument will fall apart. It is something that if it is not there, with one little tiny like rocket thingy, the entire thing will blow up. Okay? The conclusion will collapse. All right, now let us go and look at our argument. Joe scored 500 on the GMAT. Therefore, he won't get into an Ivy League school. What is the assumption here? Without the process, tell me, what is the assumption here? You guys are just having a field day in the comments, honestly. Channelize that energy into answering my questions. Come on. Good, Andrew, but I want you to be very, very precise here. Assumptions have to be very precise. Is Ivy Leagues need high GMAT scores enough? What if 500 is considered high according to them? It's not, but precision, low score, that he's a typical Joe. Doesn't matter. No, no, now, no jokes. Now focus on this. Very good. You need a score above 500 for Ivy League, right? So don't worry about negation. Very good. 500 is not enough to get into an Ivy League college. Perfect. Perfect, guys. Great. Awesome. So what did you guys do here? Let me, take you guys through what you actually did. What is the conclusion? That Joe is not going to get into Ivy League? When would that be wrong? If he actually gets in? Correct? What did we do? We asked the conclusion. We are like, when would it be wrong? If he actually gets in. So, what is our author assuming? That 500 is not an acceptable score for Ivy League college. Now, let us look at this one, right? That, let us say, if we look at like, okay, 500 is a low score. Is that an assumption? If I say this, that 500 is a low score, is that an assumption that is required by this? Tell me. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter if it is a low score, high score. What if, Joe is like a Nobel Prize winner? then it doesn't care. Then we don't care. Then that person, that Ivy League college will still take him anyway, even if he scored like, I don't know, 395, right? So the author is assuming that 500 is not acceptable, not that 500 is a low score. Because if that was negated, let's say 500 is not a low score, but these people, the Ivy League college still has a cutoff at 550, he would still not get in. Make sense? So if the entire thing, so the entire assumption is that 500 is not acceptable. And if that assumption fails, then the entire argument collapses. Does this make sense? What did we do here? We found under what circumstance would it break down? Okay. And this is the question that I want you guys to, really ask yourself. And if you're writing this, please put it down in your notes. This one question is going to help you solve an assumption question. Under what circumstances will the conclusion break down? So our assumption is bridging the gap between evidence and conclusion. Okay, solve this question, 2.5 minutes. Okay, what have we gotten? We have D, E's, B. Okay. We got how many B's? We got one B, two E's, three E's, one D. Okay, I want to hear from some more of you and then I'll go on to explanation. Majority of y'all are saying E. Did you guys use the process? This is like a difficult one, by the way. This is, I think, like a 705 plus one. Did you guys use the process here? Assumption process? One thing I'm sure is that you're not going to forget the assumption methodology. Okay, so bunch of you are saying E's. Okay, anyone else thinks like it's a B or a D? Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. So we got B, C, D. Okay. All right. Now, before I reveal the answer, anyone, yeah, tell me, what is the conclusion here? One or two? What is the conclusion? Which is like essentially like one of our first steps in the argument. Put it down as one or two so that I can, make it clear. Okay. Anyone thinks it's one? I got a couple of twos here. Naman, we've not discussed that yet. We will have one question in the end discussing that. I thought I would not have time for it, but I guess I do. Isn't it B? We care about toll, not distance. Okay, Andrew. I'll talk about the options here. Okay. So I think this is clear that most of you think, I think all of you, nobody said one. So it is the conclusion is 2, right? So first one is the plan, essentially, like, what they think is going to happen, or sorry, what they're planning to essentially make happen. And second is basically the entire conclusion. The conclusion is that the annual revenue generated by the toll highway will increase by at least 50%. Now, before we move on ahead, right, we need to figure out what does annual revenue even mean. And as I said, though I am not a numbers person, numbers are very helpful in CR. So if we look at the argument understanding, it is saying that in order to finance road repairs, the highway commissioner is considering 50% increase in the 10 cents per mile toll. The highway commissioner claims that the annual revenue generated will increase by 50%. How will you estimate annual revenue? Can anyone tell me the formula? How will you estimate the annual revenue? Tell me. It's visualizing the conclusion. That is the thing, na. It's literally you have the logic inside you, all of you. You know what it is. It's literally just being precise, just following the process, and you're golden. CR is literally going to become so easy. Total revenue minus total expenditure. Daksh, in this context, what is it? Number of cars into toll price. Why do you think it is number of cars into toll price? Tertius T. T. Why do you think it's number of cars into toll price? What makes you think that? You're saying Mahaling's. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so bad at pronouncing names. Cents per miles into number of vehicles. Perfect. This is the answer. Let us look at this. What is it saying? Increase in the 10 cents per mile toll for vehicles using the highway. So, what is the estimation? It literally says right there, right? It is 10 cents per mile, which is basically the toll per mile, into total number of miles. That is the formula. Yeah, but it's about the total number of miles, right? Yeah. Number of vehicles into distance covered in 50%. You can't do that. Let us look at what is given. See, all of these are very valid things that you are drawing, essentially. Inferences that you guys are drawing. But let us keep it simple. It literally says 10 cents per mile toll. So for 1 mile, if you have 10 cents, essentially you want to calculate the revenue for 100 miles, it is going to be 1,000 cents. Yeah, simple as that. So keep it as simple as you can. And now what is happening? Ah, got you, got you. Hmm. So now what is happening? Our toll per mile is increasing by 50%. So it is going from 10 cents per mile to 15 cents per mile. And what is happening? Like what do you think is going to, what is the purpose of doing that is revenue increase by 50%. So what are you saying? You are saying that if you increase toll mile by 50%, your revenue will increase by 50%. What is the gap there? A is equal to B into C. You are saying that if my B will increase by X, my A will also increase by X. What is the gap? The gap is that the total number of miles has to remain the same. Right. If that decreases, let us say total number of miles was initially 100. Right. And if that becomes a 10, and no matter how much you increase the toll, your annual revenue is not going to increase. Got it? Because if A is equal to B into C, C and B are equal determinants of A. Got it? So in what situation would this break down? How would we make this entire conclusion break down? If we decrease the total number of miles, right? So, what is our assumption? How do we bridge that? That the total number of miles driven does not decrease. Okay, now, Andrew, I'm going to answer your question. Why 50%? That doesn't give you the real answer. It might, because not really, because you might fall for a trap here. because it's not number of vehicles into distance covered. What if number of vehicles decrease? What if instead of 10 vehicles you have 5 vehicles, but all of those 5 vehicles, they are traveling 10 times more distance? Then what would happen? Then it would not break the argument, right? The only thing that will for sure short break the argument is that the number of miles would decrease. Oh, okay, sorry, my bad. Okay, so let us look at B, which is, by the way, you guys did really well on this question. This is like a pretty hard level question. You guys did really, really well. Yeah. So the total number of trips might will not decrease. So B says what? What does B say? B says that the total number of trips will not decrease. And this is a beautiful trap answer. Both B and C are really good trap answers. What will it do? Yeah. So let us say if the total number of trips is not decreased, but what if, like, does that mean that the total number of miles will not decrease? You know, because let's say the number of trips uh, are less, but the length of the trip is more, right? That does not break the argument. Similarly, in C, the length of a trip was more, but what if number of trips are less? The only thing that is directly decreasing it is number of miles. Is this clear to everybody? Yes, very, very, very good. An assumption needs to break the argument 100%. There is absolutely no way, there is nothing possible in the universe in which case, like, the assumption is false and the argument survives. The assumption has to be the killing, the opposite of the assumption has to be the killing blow to the argument. Okay? Great. All right. Now I want you guys to do this one. Take 30 seconds. Like, it's 30 seconds, 1 minute thing. Oh, wait, this thing is coming, no? Can you guys see this? Hmm. Tell me the answer here. Ten more seconds. Okay, so let us follow the same process. Tell me, what is the formula for revenue in this argument? How will you calculate revenue in this argument? Write down the formula. Tell me, guys, write down the formula for revenue. Trip into price. Trips into $1. Trips into cars. Total trips into toll price. Total trip into $1. So here, what is happening is that the formula is different. Here, we are not calculating revenue as number of miles into toll per mile. Here, how are we calculating it? We are calculating it as number of trips into toll per trip. Have we written about miles here? What is it? It is $1 per trip. So it is dollar per trip into number of trips. So here, what do we need to do? What do we need to, in what situation would the argument break? If the number of trips decreased, correct? Because A is equal to B into C. Our B and C have changed. One thing that has to remain constant is number of trips. So what is the option? What is the answer here? It's B, because the total number of trips made this will not here. Sorry, I'm not scolding you guys. But are you able to get the logic of why B? Because we changed um, the formula, right? The formula in the first one was toll per mile into number of toll miles. So our assumption was what? That number of miles will not decrease. Here, what is the formula? The formula is money per trip into number of trips. So what is our assumption? That number of trips will not decrease. Yeah. So that's what you have to visualize the conclusion. That is why the first thing I did was conclusion drills. You have to be very precise, not even 1% up down. You have to be extremely precise. Deepak, I'm not sure I can help you with that. But I mean, if you do want to prepare for GMAT, CR is like, use this process for CR. Okay. Is this clear to everybody? Yes, no, maybe so. Because a lot of people did choose E. So is this clear to everyone? Hmm? We are past the 2 hour mark. I appreciate your patience and my own as well. Okay, fantastic. Okay, why is it coming like this? Can you read this? Does this make sense? Which one? This one? Do you want an explanation here? TGA 2180. Okay, what is the confusion here? Let us follow the process in this question. Okay, what is the conclusion here? Is that the annual revenue will generated will increase by 50%. Yeah, it's a little bit annoying. I don't know how to fix that though. Yeah. You want to go back to the one before this? Okay, I'll just quickly go over the mile question. So I think that will be like easy to understand for everybody. So our conclusion here, like the first step is understanding conclusion, is that the annual revenue generated will increase by 50%. If we say what is even annual revenue, first we are saying that there's some conclusion. We have to understand first what that conclusion is. So how will we estimate the annual revenue? This argument clearly says 10 cents per mile toll. So the annual revenue is toll per mile into total number of toll miles. We know for a fact that toll per mile is increasing by 50%. Argument is saying that annual revenue will increase by 50%. So if I want to break the argument, what can I do? What if I decrease the total number of toll miles? If I decrease the total number of toll miles, even if the toll per mile increases by 50%, annual revenue will not increase by 50%. So, what is our assumption is that the total number of miles will not decrease. And that matches E. Okay, now you guys do this one. I will post the question here on the chat. I'm sorry for the edit. Okay, it's not happening. Okay, I'll figure this out. You guys do the question. This is anyway like in one slide only. Okay, so we have a mixture of E, D's, and A's. Okay, I'm going to give you guys 10 more seconds and then we'll go on. Interesting. Most of you are saying E. All right, let's go. Okay, so tell me this. I currently eat 2 meals a day. Okay, I want to reduce weight. I want to cut my calorie intake in half. If I eat 1 meal a day instead of 2 meals a day, will I cut my calories in half? Yes or no? Let's go here. We'll come back to the answer later, Andrew. Don't worry. But tell me this. If I eat 1 meal a day instead of two, will I cut my calories in half? No. Tell me why. Mm-hmm. Very. Yeah. It doesn't mean that I will cut my calories in half, right? Exactly. It depends on the meal. I can't say for sure that will cut my calories in half. Let us say in one meal I have five ice creams, a pile of chocolates, a big plate of cheesy fries. My calories will be the same. It may even go up. So, what are the total number of calories? Exactly. It is a calorie per meal into number of meals. So, just because I cut my meals from two to one, that does not mean that my calories will reduce to half. Right. So what will break my argument? Me eating this mega fatty meal. So what is the assumption? That I'm not going to eat bigger meals. Is this clear to everybody? Exactly. Correct. Is this clear to everybody? Okay. Now, do this question again. I'm going to give you guys 45 more seconds. It's not clear to you? Because why not Y3I? Why, why don't you guys have like normal names? Tell me why it is not clear to you and I'll help you clarify that. Cutting my plan like 1 meal a day instead of two, it does not for sure say that my calories will cut into half if I have like a super fatty meal, right? So tell me this. I think you answered your own question because why not by 3i? That meal may contain calories for previous 2 meals. It may contain more calories, it may contain less calories, it may contain equal number of calories. But you can't say for sure that your calorie will cut content will be cut into half. So what will break it? If you have like a very heavy meal, that would break it. Right. Now look at this. This. Tell me. Can't understand the passage. Can't understand or can't read. Because like I can help you with one of them right now. Okay, so I think a couple of you are saying D now. I want to wait for 10 more seconds. I want to get a couple more answers and then I want to move on. Okay, so absolutely you guys are right. It's D, right? And I'll show you why. Just as in weight loss, our goal was to have half calories. The plan was to have half meals, and the assumption was that the meal size is same. Similarly, in our incinerator argument, what is happening? Our goal is that we will have the ash to half. What is the plan? That number of trucks will be half. So, what is the assumption? that the ash per truck will be the same. It's the same logic as the weight loss example, right? So let us see the process here. Let us see that how we can basically use the process to make the incinerator question just as simple. Okay, let us understand this argument. Last year, all refuse was incinerated, so there was a large quantity of ash. This year's goal is to reduce the ash to half. So, what is the plan? Is that we will separate the recycles and send half as many truckloads. I want to ask you guys this. Are we questioning the fact that there will be half as many truckloads? Are we questioning that? Like, let's say last year there were 10 truckloads. This time, we are questioning that there might not be 5 truckloads. There might be 2 truckloads or 20 truckloads or like whatever, 10 truckloads again. Are we questioning that we will send half as many truckloads? Tell me. I got one no, but I want to hear from more of you guys. Exactly. It is stated that it will decrease by 50%. It is a fact that is given in the argument, and you do not argue with the facts that are given in the argument. So, the fact here is that we will separate the recycles and send half as many truckloads. Now, does it matter? Let's say, like last year, there was 100 kgs of garbage, and because of that, there were 10 truckloads. If there are 1000 kgs of garbage this year, will there be 5 truckloads? Tell me. If there are 1000 kgs of garbage, 10 more than 10 times more than last year, will there still be 5 truckloads? Okay, yeah, she's saying there might be more. I want to hear from more of you. Tell me. If the number of amount of garbage increases 10 times, would the number of truckloads still be half? The answer is yes. It will still be half. Why? I'm sorry for the trick question. It is written in the argument. It is a fact that is given in the argument that trucks are supposed to be halved. It is a fact that we are not supposed to question. Right? No matter what happens to the top of the funnel, no matter how much garbage is there, because the argument is saying we'll send half as many truckloads, we are accepting that we'll send half as many truckloads. Got it? So, what is the main logical link to break here? The main logical link is that if we have the number of trucks, we will have the amount of ash. Similar to our weight loss logic. Okay, so what is the formula here? Again, even though my quant score was bad, I somehow like maths and CR. Total ash is what? Ash per truck into number of trucks. Our number of trucks are going to be half. But for ash to be half, what needs to be the case? Similar as our last example, our ash per truck has to be the same. If our ash per truck increases, right? Let us say, like, earlier we had 10 trucks, ash per truck was 1 kg, total ash is 10 kg. Now we have 5 trucks, but ash per truck is 10 kg. Then our total ash becomes 50 kg. Just because number of trucks are halved, the total ash does not get halved because there is a very important variable here called ash per truck. Yeah. Yes. So you get my point. So what you need to do when you are pre-thinking is you have to figure out the gap in the argument. My what was it called? That port thingy, exhaust port, whatever. That is the ash per truck. So I need to find an assumption that bridges the ash per truck gap. I need to find an assumption that says that my ash per truck will remain the same. Got it? So that's why our right answer is D. That the refuse from this year generates no more ash per truckload. than last year's refuse. Okay, why are the others? Oh yeah, one more thing into important here. So the plan is to send as many half as many trucks. That's a fact. They'll do it. Don't question if the plan will happen. Question if that plan will achieve the goal. Okay. Now let me tell you why the rest of the answers are wrong. A says that this year no materials at city services could separate for recycling will be incinerated. That's basically saying the exact same thing that the argument is saying. It's not giving us any information on the gap. Second, separating recycling materials will cost Shelbyville less than half. We don't care how much it costs. We are not concerned with that. Out. Refuse collected by city services will contain a larger proportion of recyclable materials this year. Again, we don't care about that. Why? Because we care about what happens to the trucks. Then D is our answer. That refuse generated will incinerated will generate no more residual ash per truckload. It matches our pre-thinking exactly. And that is why E is also wrong. It doesn't matter how many kgs we collected, 10 kgs, 100 kg last year. Doesn't matter. What matters is the number of truckloads. I know this has been a lot. I can understand you guys. It's been 2 hours, 17 minutes. Okay, we'll take a breather. Tell me, what did you learn? We did two assumption questions. What did you learn? Quickly, tell me. Can't question facts in the statement. Yes. Great. I'm sorry I tricked you guys. Not sorry. Okay, what else? I know you guys are tired, but let's stay sharp. Very good. I love this. Yes. Attack the logical connection and not the facts. Very, very good. Perfect. What else? Look for the exhaust point. Amazing. Great. Use math. Awesome. You know why math is useful? Because when you are in the process of assigning numbers to things, no, that forces you to translate the entire statement, the entire question statement into a formula. And what happens that when you are in the process of translating, that part that forces you to understand exactly what the argument is saying. And there's nothing more precise than math. So precision is what essentially math teaches us. The answer, suppose the exhaust point, yes. Have to find the thing that remains constant, the thing we might be a variable. Might be. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Essentially, yes. Great. Good. Are you guys enjoying the session so far? We are down to the last leg. Now we have one final question to go. I went much faster than I thought. I had to cut down so many questions. I thought that I would not be able to finish in time. Tell me, what are you guys thinking about the question so far? Great. Great. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Yes, amazing. Yes, very, 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 very good. Facts are derived from the passage. You have to take the passage, like the facts from the passage. Yes, fantastic. Great. Great. I hope you guys are like this liking this session. Okay. Now, because we have time, we'll do like one additional question. Let's go here. I think somebody was asking necessary versus sufficient, right? This is that question. Okay. We have, don't call me ma'am. Don't worry about it. We have 2.5 to 3 minutes. This is a little harder, so you can take a little bit more time. 3 minutes. Let's meet back. It's 10:25. Answer by 10:28. Okay. Okay, start telling me the answers, guys. Okay, Yash is saying C. Let's see what other people say. This is also like a significantly difficult question. I think it's 705 to 805 or 655 to 705. But yeah, low accuracy question. We got C, E, and B also. Okay, we got a bunch of B's. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So let's get sharp, guys. Last question. Let us pump our energy up, you and me both. We got a bunch of B's, C's, E's, and we will let's see this question. Okay. So what is happening in this question is that we are supposed to figure out what weakens the mayor's reasoning. And he says that, if we are to spur economic growth, they have to build like a large parking ramp, not more than 2 blocks. Let us go back to this. Okay. You must score a 705 on the GMAT to get to get into Harvard. What weakens this? Type 1 or 2. Is it that it's important to have a graduate degree in addition to a good GMAT score? Or that people get into Harvard with 695 also? Okay, getting a bunch of twos here. Anyone thinks it's one? Okay, doesn't seem so. So the answer is two. If actually people get in with a 695, then 705 is not necessary. 705 is really not necessary to get into Harvard. And what is the statement? It's a must statement. So, must means that 705 is necessary, that it is not possible that you will get into Harvard if you do not score 705. So, what will weaken this? If you get into Harvard with 695 also, then it's essentially direct attack. Correct, Yash? You're directly attacking the argument. You are saying that it is not necessary. One doesn't matter. So what if it is important to have a good graduate tradition to a good GMAT score? It still doesn't mean that 705 is not necessary. Right? Keep this in mind. You know, people, you think that you don't know necessary versus sufficient. You could answer this question, all of you. You could answer this question so well. You have the necessary skills. All you need to do is apply it. Think about that and do this question again. Think about what you just learned, the necessary part, and do this question again. I'm going to give you guys a little less time, like 1 minute, but I want you guys to do it. Think very carefully about what the gap in the argument is. What is the argument saying is necessary? What would break the necessariness of the argument? I think majority people are confused between B and C with some ease. Okay. So the answer is actually C, that building a ramp as much as 4 blocks from downtown would be sufficient to greatly increase shoppers. Let us look at, let me just figure out if Okay, no. Let us look at this. Okay. Let us look at this example. This guy says that you must score 705. The weakening is 695 is okay. It's fine. And that weakens the argument. What is happening over here? Mayor says that to spur economic growth, you need two things. You need a large parking ramp and you need no more than 2 blocks. What will the weakener say? That, oh, you know what? You don't need like 2 blocks. 4 blocks is fine. Isn't it the exact same logic? Thank you so much, Rishi. Very sweet of you. Guys, tell me, isn't it the same logic that we are seeing on the GMAT question? The statement is that you need 705. The weakener is that 695 is okay. The main statement here is that you need 2 blocks. The weakener is that 4 blocks is okay. Isn't that the exact same logic? Yes, no, maybe so. Right. What is option B saying? B is saying that there are other reasons. It's literally like this option saying that it's important to have a graduate degree in addition. Who cares? That's not weakening the argument. Who cares that you need a graduate degree? Who cares that there are other more significant reasons? Mayor never said that if you want to spur economic growth, the only thing you need to do is to build a large parking ramp. He never said that. Probably you need to do 5 things, right? All of them important. But parking ramp is also important. So B is not going to weaken. I'll take you through the entire process. I think that will make it more clear. But do you guys see the parallel between the GMAT argument and this argument? Yes, no, maybe, and then we'll move on. Okay, all right. So, if we look at understanding the facts, what is happening here in this argument? We know that downtown businesses are struggling financially, not enough parking spaces. The goal is to boost economic growth, so you must build a parking ramp within 2 blocks. So, what does the mayor conclude? Smriti, I'll specifically deal with why not. Don't worry, we'll do that in answers analysis. We look at the conclusion. What is the conclusion? I told you guys that we'll call this back at the end of the session. We'll have a call back. Tell me, 1, 2, 3, what is the conclusion? Don't worry, Sumok, Smriti, I'm going to tell you what is the exact reason. Don't worry. We'll go to that. 1, 2, 3, what is the mayor concluding? Okay, Daksh, you're saying it's 3. What about the others? Do you want to look at the argument again? I'm pasting the argument here. Okay. All of you think it's 3. I hope you're not just following each other and just thinking, fresh from your own head. Okay. So the answer is actually 3. Right. So what is happening here? The mayor is not saying parking is important for downtown business success. It's like we are not saying that, oh, a good GMAT score is important for Harvard. We are saying that 705, specific 705 is required for Harvard. Similarly, we are saying that a large parking ramp within 2 blocks, that is required for parking. That is required for like the economic growth spurring. Right. Are we saying that parking is the only thing necessary for economic growth? Did we say that? Did we say that a 705, like only a 705 is necessary for Harvard? You could get 705 and be rejected by a lot of places. That happens, right? That is necessary but not sufficient. Make sense? We are not saying that parking is the only thing necessary. We are saying that if there is no specific tenets of parking, the economic growth is not going to happen. Perfect. Now that we have identified the conclusion. So, what is the general strategy that we are using in a necessary versus sufficient thing? Which is the exact same as what we have discussed so far. That the logical link, when someone says that we must do X, we can weaken by showing that X is not necessary. You can get it with a 695 also. 705 is not necessary. Something less extreme also works. 4 blocks works also works instead of two. Something different also works. That instead of a large parking ramp, what if you make a parking lot? That would also work. So what is the weakening strategy here? So that is this is the filter by which we have to do it, right? So we have to prove that the specific things that the mayor said, they are not necessary. That is how we are going to be evaluating each and every single answer. So A says the city budget is not large enough. That is about feasibility. Again, see, did you see this like trap answer that keeps showing up again and again and again? It talks about feasibility, it talks about money, but that is not our concern, right? That's not what will break a necessary with sufficient thing. Even if we can't afford it, mayor could be right that it is necessary. B, which is like the most common incorrect answer. B says that there are more significant reasons in addition to lack of parking. So, in fact, this is strengthening it, right? It is not saying that there's other things, that there are other things and parking is not necessary. It is literally saying that you need parking and you need different things. It is saying that you need a 705 score. You also need a graduate degree. You also need like research papers. I don't know what Howard needs, but like just an example. You also need a bunch of things. So that is in fact strengthening the thing that a 705 is required. You get it? Let's say you want to make a cake. You need flour, you need eggs, you need sugar. All of that are necessary. But just saying that, oh, listen, just flour. So, like, if my statement is that, okay, flour is necessary to make cake, you can't weaken it by saying that, oh, eggs are also necessary. So, what? Flour is still necessary, no? Get it? Whoever chose B, are you clear on why it is wrong? Yes, no, maybe? Tell me. And then finally, we'll go to the E pickers and we'll discuss that. Great. So, C. Why does C work? Mayor says it must be within 2 blocks. C is saying 4 blocks work fine. 2 blocks are not necessary. Directly breaks the argument, right? So why did in the actual stats of this are like 56% they get this wrong. So they are distracted by B. They think that other factors existing is good enough. They are not precise about the conclusion. They think it's about parking necessity, not specific requirement. And C seems too close. I got this question wrong when I first did it. For some weird reason, I remember almost every single CR question that I did, which was like hard. C seems too close. C is like, oh, you know what? It's still suggesting parking, right? It is still talking about parking. So how can that be the answer? But like that GMAT example, even if you break the absolute necessary thing there, the absolute specifics thing there, sorry, that could also be the answer. Okay? All right, now D and E. I think a lot of people were asking this question. E says that some additional spaces can be added without building a ramp. E never says that even if you can add those spaces, will it be as effective? Will it spur economic growth? Guys, whoever picked E and who had a doubt, Sumuk and I think who else was there? Smriti. Sumuk Smriti. Do you get this? E says that some additional spaces could be added, but we don't know if that'll spur economic growth. The entire point was spurring economic growth, right? If we look back at this example, if we look back at our GMAT example, so if I want to weaken, can I say that, like I have a startup, people have startups. You can't say that because you don't know if that's necessary to get into Harvard, no? The point is getting into Harvard. So E is not saying that by adding those ramps, you will spur economic growth. Both. There's usually multiple reasons to get, um, cross out something. But this never says that it is effective. That is the main point of this question, that it has to be effective. So don't just look at like, just because it's some will, will not look at it. Just because it's some, you will be careful, not auto reject. But the main thing, did you get it, Sumukh? The main reason why this is wrong is because you never said that those additional spaces would would spur economic growth. And the point is spurring economic growth. Ah, I see, Smriti. But did you get the logic why? How do you, when you're looking at a necessity question, what you need to do is you need to show that, listen, this exact thing is not necessary. A less extreme version would work. Okay. All right. So attack specific requirements for necessary argument. Identify the conclusion type. Only if the argument had said that only parking is necessary, that would have been a completely different question. Got it? And arguments must be equally effective. Okay. Got it. Perfect. Now let us tell me what you guys learned from this session, and then we'll have a quick recap. Whew. It's exhausting to talk for like 3 hours straight. Tell me what you learned. I need to hear from you guys now. Where are the troublemakers? Yes. Awesome. Follow the process. And not just when it's convenient, and not just when I'm forcing you guys to do it and breathing down your neck. You need to do it even when you're on an easy question, even when you're on a medium question, even on a difficult question. You really need to do it. 5-step process. Fantastic. Great. No, that's not the point, Daksh. That is what I want to tell you. There is no good or bad at CR. You are not bad at CR. If you were bad at CR, you would not have gotten any of the simple examples. But you guys got the simple examples. You guys got the 7051 example. You guys got the meal prep kit example. You guys got all the different examples. You have the logic. As long as you follow the process, right, you will get there. It is not impossible. And I'm telling you, not just, away because I want to. I'm telling you because I went through this myself. And I went through this thing where I used to select two answers and I used to always and always select the wrong one. And it used to be so frustrating that why do I always select the wrong answer? But as soon as I started doing the process diligently, religiously, I got so much better at it. Okay. Um, I do not have it as a PDF. So again, this is a starting point. You know, you will not learn this process too like this. Rome wasn't built in a day. You did not learn driving in a day. Okay? It will take time, but with practice it'll come. Conclusion is the most important thing. Very true. You have to get your conclusion down pat. To be immersed in the argument, yes, very, very true. Identify key links, yes, awesome. Remember the example. Who is the best archer? Not the one with the best technique, but the one who knows exactly with 100% focus where his or her target is. So you need to have that target. How long did it take me to reach V90? Um, how long did it take me? I think it took me, I practiced CR for like 1 month continuously, like just CR. What if the opening statement directly contradicts the conclusion and we need to find out what weakens? Do you have an example for that? Because it usually doesn't happen. If you have an example, I would love to help you through it. Does being good at CR give you any advantage of getting better at RC? In a way, yeah. Like, they do share some similar skill sets, like understanding the process, finding out the logical link. But RC does have its own nuances as well. We will have an RC session here soon. So I think we have 4 sessions planned, 2 in CR, 2 in RC. So that should be fine. Yes, I will be covering boldface individually. So this was a session which was like a little bit more beginner level. Strength and weaken assumption. These are like basic building blocks. But we will be having advanced question, advanced one. I'm not sure about the date. I think sometime in Feb. I'll get you all the dates. So yeah, so like we will be doing advanced questions. We will be doing boldface at that point of time. Any ideas to increase endurance? So I'm going to be clickbaity here, and I'm going to say that uh, you have to wait for our RC session. I'll tell you exactly what to do in that. Awesome, thank you so much. No, you guys were really nice. You guys were interactive. That was like super helpful. So that was great. When is the next CR session? We are having RC session as well. Don't worry at all. Next CR session. What is the date? Why did I forget the date? I think it's sometime in Feb. We will notify you for sure. Don't worry. We will figure out. You'll be like awesome at boldface after that session. All right, quick recap. First, we did the conclusion. What is the conclusion? You figure out the why from the passage. Be specific, not the general topic, what they actually mean. And our diagnostic data shows that it is the number one mistake. You get this wrong, everything else falls apart. Okay, conclusion, very important. I will try to bring it ASAP. You're talking about the CR one, right? We already have dates ready. I'll try to bring it up ASAP. Don't worry. Okay. Second step, what did we do? We did weaken and strengthen questions. Same process, opposite directions. Step one, passive understanding. Step two, finding the conclusion. Step three, logical link. Guys, take a screenshot of this. Very important. Step three, finding out the logical link. Pre-think in weaken what would break this link. In strengthen what would support this. Step five, analyze answer choices. Weaken is what would make the conclusion less likely. Strengthen what would make the conclusion more likely. Then we worked on assumption. We worked on the Death Star. Step one, understanding the process. Step two, finding the conclusion. Step three, figure out the exhaust port. Under what circumstances would it break down? Step four, finding out the assumption, what will prevent that breakdown. Bridge that gap, be that engineer. Step five, analyze answer choices. If it is false, the conclusion collapses. An assumption is an unstated must be true kind of thing. Okay, so now I want you guys, I mean, not right now, you guys deserve a break. You guys deserve to chill. You're bored. Bored? Okay, you were with me for 3 hours. It was like an exhausting session for all of us. But I had a great time. You guys were amazing. Really appreciate all the interactivity. Go on to this link and practice OG questions. Start from medium. That is super important. Start from easy. Sorry, my bad. Start from easy questions. Nail accuracy. Start from weaken. Okay, so what will you do? First, go to weaken questions and go to weaken easy questions. Second, weaken medium. Third, weaken hard. Do it until you have accuracy of 90% in medium. Sorry, 90% in easy, 80% in medium, 60% in hard, and then do the same for strengthen, and then do the same for assumption. Okay, and very, very important, even in stupidly easy questions, follow the process. Okay, any other questions, or should we retire for the night or the day, depending on where you guys are? Any other questions, comments? You want to say how awesome I was? You're free to do that. RC session sooner. Yes, I will try. I'll have to talk to Abhijit. I'll try my best. Okay, guys. All righty. Thank you so much. You guys have been awesome. All the best. Please, please, please practice the questions. Thank you so much, Samok. Oh, thank you. Fateh, so sweet of you. Thank you, Yash. Thank you, Daksh. Not so sure. Okay, awesome. Thank you, guys. Have a great time. Have a great week. Practice, follow the process, reach these metrics, And if you have any doubt, just put it in the comments. I'll be active. I'll reply to those. Okay? Bye. See you next time.